Hi, I'm Brandy Stanley, and this is my case study on Truman Elementary School. Truman Elementary is a building that hosts pre-K through 8th grade students, and it is the largest of 4 elementary schools. There are 2 K through 4 schools, 1 middle school and 1 high school, and it's in a suburban community. 15% of the students are on free and reduced lunch. 5% of the students speak a primary language other than English, and the principal has been there for 2 years. She's from outside of the school, but within the district. So what do I know? There is a decline in student reading scores at Truman. They lose ground as a cohort moving through the school and from grade to grade. I noted that students perform better in math than in reading, and the reading instruction is not aligned with best practices, including the content as well as the delivery of instruction. I know that the principal has asked the reading specialist for their opinion concerning what's going on in the reading classrooms, and parents have voiced their concerns through the PTO, so the principal has received a letter from the PTO president concerning the reading program and what they're hearing from their students. There's a grant available from the State Department of Education for qualified schools. The criteria of this grant involves determining the need based on student poverty and achievement history. Based on their low SES free and reduced lunch numbers, I don't see them making it there. They would have to make it through the achievement history, in my opinion. It relies on preparation to determine the needs based on the reading program. They must choose a research-based program to implement. There must be a commitment from the superintendent of schools to be supportive of this application and implementation. And then the budget and proposed activities would have to be in alignment with the grant goals. I need to know, what is Truman Elementary using for their reading program currently? And what are the other schools in the district using, and are they having success with their programs? It would be interesting to know, as the principal coming from another building, what was in place at the previous building. I need to know, what is the perception data from parents? We have an idea from the PTO group, but I would survey parents, students, and teachers. I would want to know, are the teachers highly qualified? Are they experienced? How many years of experience do they have? And then what resources are available for teacher training, either on the current program or if a new program is implemented? Is there money to sustain a program beyond the 2 years of the grant? And then, is Truman eligible for the grant at all? Do we even meet the criteria? The problem as I see it is that reading scores are declining. Parents are concerned about the scores and what's going on in the reading classes, and there's the perception that teachers are not even teaching reading or the aspects of phonics that parents know should be taught. The curriculum and standards need to be aligned, and classroom instruction is not measuring up to best practices consistently across all of the classrooms, so that is a concern. First, I would begin by administering surveys to gather perception data from parents, students, and teachers. I'll meet with teachers to discuss the building data. I'll establish a task force of educators to review the current reading curriculum and discuss options for reviewing new curriculum if that's what's determined to be best in order to meet student needs. And then I will meet with stakeholders, including our site council team and the PTO, to let them know what our plans are, and throughout the process keep them informed that we are taking action towards improving student performance and student success, and I would keep them in the loop as we go through this process. Based on the information gathered, the reading specialist report included, I would recommend that we at least revise the curriculum standards and add time to the language arts schedule. We either need to adopt a new curriculum or train teachers on the current program to ensure that attention to instruction on a balanced instruction of all the elements of reading is included. So whether that be a new curriculum, based on what that team of educators come together and discuss, after evaluating the curriculum and aligning with the standards, do we need an upgrade or is it a teacher training issue? So whichever curriculum we go with, all teachers need to be trained. That includes the reading teachers, reading support staff, special education teachers, paraprofessionals that are involved with students. They would all need to be trained on the reading program if they have anything to do with teaching those skills. And then I would suggest adding additional supports for English language learners and special education students within those subgroups, and keep a close eye on the data going forward after the implementation to make sure that all subgroups are successful and making gains. And then I would host open house events where parents and community members can come in and see maybe a mini lesson. The teachers might do a mini lesson and serve refreshments and make it very open and welcoming so that the community, especially our parents, understand that we do have the students' best interests in mind and are working hard to meet their needs. So in this situation, I ask what is really going on. What I was thinking through this scenario is that teachers are not using best practices, but why? Is it because they don't like the program and that's why they aren't following it? Are they inexperienced and don't know what to do or how to implement the program? But in any case, it's not being taught consistently, and that means that students have not had an opportunity to learn. I also mentioned previously adding time to the curriculum, which is one of the reading specialist suggestions, is that 1 hour was not adequate for all the English language arts that should be covered. And I think that 15% of the school's population being on the free and reduced lunch is not very large, and therefore I didn't think that they would probably qualify for the grant. 5% of their students being ELL would not seem like a major burden to the school district. So unless they can qualify based on the academic need, I didn't think we would probably qualify for that grant, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't work through our curriculum as is or use other resources to meet those needs. What I was feeling is that most likely this is a personnel issue or a training of the personnel. Students have the right to a high quality education from qualified teachers. And I feel like supporting teachers in the learning process is important in their learning process. So I will communicate with them and advocate for the tools that they need to be successful. Maybe they haven't had the opportunity to learn the curriculum that they are expected to teach. Sometimes we shift teachers around to different grade levels or different subject matter, and they're handed the textbook and expected to hit the ground running. So I would advocate for the training that the teachers need to be successful in their classroom. And then as the principal, I need to build trust with the parents in my community and again let them know that we are working for great outcomes for their children. What I valued in this situation is the responsibility as a building leader to act in a way that ensures every student's academic and social success. And I would work to support my students in their need for a quality reading program from highly qualified teachers. I valued my responsibility to work collaboratively with the school community members and improve the learning environment. And I value being seen as the greatest advocate for my students, their parents, and my teachers. Addressing some needs in the future, I've noted that there should be ongoing training for new teachers as they come into our building, training for the new reading program if they're expected to teach a group. I'll establish a mentorship program for veteran teachers to be paired with first-year teachers to guide them through the ins and outs, not just of the reading program, but generally coming into our school for the first year. I'll continue to communicate with the community about areas of improvement and progress that we've made towards our goals in a variety of different ways, trying to meet their needs. So whether that's through our council meetings, PTO meetings, newsletters, a weekly email update, just letting them know what's going on in their school. And on Standard 8, focusing on the success of all students and acting as an agent for continuous improvement. I listened to the concerns of the PTO representative, and I acted on their concerns and on the reading data trend. I continued to communicate with community stakeholders, keeping them informed of our progress, and I encouraged families to attend reading open house events. I used the data to respond to the downward trend of students' reading performance. Based on the information, I began an investigation of the curriculum and its efficacy. And after reviewing the information, I determined that we needed to train teachers in the implementation of a curriculum that meets the needs of our students, whether that be a revamping of our current curriculum and retraining on using it appropriately, or bringing in a new curriculum and training on that. I provided training and assistance to the classroom teachers to better implement a quality research-based reading program. I'll continue to use data to examine the performance of all subgroups to provide an equitable education for all. And I added that free appropriate public education is used to describe the educational rights of children with disabilities. So keeping in mind all student groups as we implement a new curriculum, we need to keep in mind that we need to meet the needs of all students, including our special ed population. I'll continue to meet with members of PTO, communicating strengths and needs. I will develop a digital newsletter to communicate our successes with parents and the community. And again, as I mentioned before, hold site council meetings and community forums to encourage community participation and input in our processes. I think that just goes a long way to establish trust with our community members. These are a few of the resources that I used, and I thank you for watching.